I think I have really kind of painted myself, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, into
Yeah.
a corner where why would any kind of healthcare organization want to hire me, knowing that it comes with the risk of me talking about any kind of
Airing their dirty
yeah,
laundry maybe later
yeah,
at another point.
right.
Hey, you guys. Welcome to the Nurse Boss Shift. It's your girl, Dr. Kiana Jones.
And I'm Crystal Parker.
And we are here today with a very, very special guest. We say this every week, but for real, every nurse that comes on is special. We have Nurse Erica, who we have been trying to get on to the shift for a long time. Erica, thank you so much for taking the time and blessing us with your presence. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I know we've been trying to do this for a minute, and I'm so glad we could finally find time to do this.
All right. So, Erica, welcome. And can you just give us a little introduction of who you are? And that'll kind of speak to why we're so excited to have you here. And what do you do?
Okay, so I'm a registered nurse. I started in nursing right after high school, started as a CNA, eventually became an RN. I've done all things in the pediatric world. That's a lot of my background. Then I eventually transitioned into leadership, which for those that know me know that that's the least likely thing in the world I would ever do. But I did, and got to see a lot of the corruption that takes place behind the curtain, And I've always been a vocal person, right?
Yeah.
What you see is what I've always been my entire career. I've always called out the corruption. I just do it on a bigger scale now. So in the early part of COVID, I was just on TikTok watching like everybody else, kind of spying on my kids, what they're doing, and made a video about nursing leadership. And it really took off. There's some nurse advocates out there now that talk about advocacy. There's almost none that are currently in leadership that talk about it. Right. So I have a very specific niche, I guess, because it doesn't come without ramifications, right? Retaliation is very alive and well in the nursing profession.
Yeah.
And so people don't feel comfortable talking about a lot of the things that I talk about. And so it's just kind of grown over the last 3 years. I started on TikTok, eventually went to most of the other social media platforms, and I do a lot of advocacy as far as legislation that supports nurses and unions, and then I help individual nurses.
Yes. Yeah, and I met you like in person at the Nurse Creator Con in Austin, Texas. And I had already been following you on TikTok. And also, I know you weren't like posting a lot on Instagram at that time, but you were really heavy in TikTok. And I thought it was pretty courageous to be willing. When I think about it, because, it's me, being that I have worked in leadership, I never talked about it, but I wasn't as social as I am right now. But I don't even know if I still would have because of the fear of retaliation. And how do you navigate that? Or are you just at just this wonderful organization that is not mine? I know you don't probably create content at work, but like even still, like how does that?
So it definitely has come with a price. I have paid the price for being on social media before. I currently work in hospice, and I'm in a director role position, and I work with pediatric and adult hospice. And without sounding obnoxious, I'm very good at what I do. And I'm very good at marketing. And so I know how to generate revenue. And I think part of that was me just being smart from a business
Yeah.
standpoint and making sure that I am an asset in a way to protect myself, perhaps.
Mhm.
And I never,
Yeah.
ever discuss my employer, ever,
Yeah, for
ever.
sure.
Of course, I never make any content at work. No one knows where I work. I really safeguard that. But yeah, it is concerning because I am acutely aware of the fact that if something were to happen to my job now, would I be rehireable knowing what
Mm.
I do? I don't think so.
Mhm.
I think I have really kind of painted myself, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, into
Yeah.
a corner where why would any kind of healthcare organization want to hire me, knowing that it comes with the risk of me talking about any kind of
Airing their dirty laundry
yeah,
maybe later
yeah,
at another point.
right, right. Which I really don't ever speak about my
Yeah.
employer, but
Mhm.
I can see why they would have pause.
Right, right. I'm just wondering when it comes to was it just because you just created this video, you got a lot of response, and I know you, I'm sure you do, because when I go that route and I start talking about, oh my gosh, people have so many stories. So was it that led you to continue to do it, or did you just feel like, you know what, this needs to get out here? And was it your intention long term to like, I know I'm going to be able to use this platform to make change in the nursing community?
No, this was never my plan. I am the least likely person in the world to have a following on social media. People that know me still think it's hilarious. Like, it's so ridiculous that I am in this position. It was never my plan. It was just that I started talking about things that I've always talked about. And I don't know if it was a combination of it being early in COVID and just the status of the nursing
Mm.
profession. But I mean, there was like a voracious kind of response, like hunger for this information. And I think part of it is so that nurses know that it's not them. Because, the gaslighting in nursing is very real, right? And we second guess ourselves. Is it me? Do I deserve this? So just a lot of validation that it wasn't them most of the time. And tools that they could use to fight back and to protect themselves. And then, kind of in combination with, this is what actually happens behind the scenes, behind the curtain in healthcare. Like we kind of suspect it, you sort of know, maybe, but not all of it as a staff nurse. But no, this is what happens behind the curtain. I can tell you firsthand, you know?
Mm.
So it really just resonated with people.
For someone who hasn't seen your content yet, what is one of maybe an example of one of the most egregious or shocking things that you that's behind the curtain that a healthcare organization that you've noticed or have seen?
A really common one is that a nurse starts to become a little bit vocal. So maybe they are the one on the unit that is the squeaky wheel that is saying, oh,
Mhm.
no, we can't do that kind of staffing. This isn't safe. Or maybe they are the one that is filling out the assignment despite objection and encouraging their coworkers to fill it out, that sort of
Mhm.
thing. There will quite literally be meetings for the sole purpose to strategize how to get rid of that employee, how to create the paper trail so that on
Mhm.
paper, when you look at it, it looks like they're a terrible employee. They've done this. They were late 1 minute clocking in. And now we have, a performance improvement plan or a suspension, whatever. They are laying the groundwork to get rid of them. And they actually strategize these things.
That's awful.
It
Wow.
is.
And how long have you did you work in that capacity in leadership?
Oh gosh, it's been since, I don't know, 2017, maybe 16, somewhere around
And
there.
did it ever deter you? At what point were you deterred from even being in leadership, or did it empower you even more so to make change?
A little bit of both. So
Okay.
when I was offered my first nurse manager position over a pediatric unit, they had given me a deadline to accept or decline the position. And it was like
Okay.
noon on a Thursday. And I literally came down to about 11:45 not knowing if I was going to accept it. And one of the reasons that really held me back is I knew that I would have to relinquish being part of the union, because management cannot be
Mhm.
part of the
Right.
union. And so that was a big deterrent to me, not having that union protection. But
Right.
I had a lot of encouragement from coworkers, because I was the one always and forever that was the squeaky wheel, sticking up
Yeah.
for all of us and what was safe. And so, with that encouragement, I kind of took a leap of faith, not knowing what would inevitably happen. And I went with it, and my hope was always to affect some change and to help nurses, defend nurses. But that is not something that is appreciated from administration.
Absolutely. And then what are some of the because I know you said that you of course had to deal with retaliation and things like that. So I'm just thinking of what types of things that would be done. Like, were you ever fired directly as a cause of your content?
Yes. Once.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. And I'm sure that would just ignite the flame even more to to make change and right to spread this word about how these companies do this because it just seems unimaginable, really.
Yeah,
They start.
it's hurtful. It's very rare,
Yeah.
first of all, to find a nurse that hasn't been fired, and
Yeah.
this is something that I think still holds a lot of stigma, and that nurses don't really talk about, right? Because it's embarrassing. Who wants to say that they've been fired or terminated? Because the automatic assumption is you've done something wrong or you're a bad nurse, right? Just like if you've been reported to the State Board of Nursing, even if nothing was found against you, right? No one ever talks about these things, and we really should, because it's very common, unfortunately, because of retaliation in nursing, that most nurses have been fired, some multiple times, and I'm no exception. So yes, I have paid the price as a staff nurse for being vocal, and I have paid the price in leadership since I've been on social media as well. Yeah, and it does kind of just validate in a way everything that I know. Okay, well, here we go, yet another example of corruption, of trying to quiet people that are just trying to do the right thing. But on the other hand, it's embarrassing. Like, no one's proud of that. No one likes that. It stings, right? It stings. But I also use it as motivation to keep going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so how did you turn all of that and all of what you've experienced and witnessed into so you were on social media, you started gaining a following. How did that translate then into a business or
It was very organic and gradual. Again, I never had a plan ever.
Right.
So it started with nurses reaching out to me, individual nurses that were dealing with something at work, reaching out to me. How do I deal with this? And so for a very long time, I would just meet with nurses over Zoom, just for
Mm.
free. I would just sort of donate my time. And eventually that became very extremely time consuming and overwhelming. And I had someone close to me tell me, like, look, you're working for free and you have over 20 years of valuable experience behind you. Why are you not being compensated for this? So I started charging. I try to keep everything really low and reasonable. But I did start doing that. And then it was, well, can you help me prepare for my nursing interview? And can you look at my resume? And well, yeah, as someone that's been a hiring manager for years, I'm quite literally an expert. I know exactly what they're looking for in nursing interviews and in nursing resumes and that sort of thing. So I started offering that. And then it was, how do I unionize my hospital? Okay, well, I guess here's another thing I happen to be an expert at. Let me help you with that. So I just
Right.
started sort of organically offering these consults over Zoom. And there's a huge need for that. I can't even make time for everyone that wants to meet with me. I try to really prioritize. So that was just very organic.
Wow.
I really do love that, because essentially what you did was you listened to the market. And even though your initial, you didn't think about like the money piece to it, you were really doing it for, just being able to help. And that's still what you're doing it for. But of course, now you're compensated for it. But you are listening to what the market needs from you, right? And how you can actually deliver value, and not just, I learned something and then I'm charging them to teach them what I learned. But it's like, this is what I do. This is just a part of who I am. This is my career, my profession. And I'm in who's best positioned than me to do this. Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing that I think sets me apart is you will see other people that say, okay, here's a resume template. Here's how you ace your interview. But are they in hiring manager positions? Have they ever actually done this? The vast majority have not. They're just looking at it from a staff nurse position. And what a manager looks at and what a staff nurse manager looks at are two completely different things. And then you have, people out there saying, well, this is how you, start a union. This is how that have never even been part of the union, or that have been a nurse 5 minutes. Like everything that I do and I talk about, I have done. I have lived the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I have years of experience in. I think that's really what sets me apart.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. And honestly, I truly feel like, especially nurses in leadership, they're still, maybe not still, but like even up to a year ago, they were kind of looking at it like this little tickety talk thing is not gonna, now they have no choice but to see this is really a movement, and they can either jump on or they can stay behind, but they got to choose what it's going to be. Right. I just feel like they were really diminishing it and as passing it off as something kids do.
Absolutely. And it's the fastest growing social media platform in the world. And it has been for quite some time now.
Yeah.
So, but healthcare management and administration tend to always be behind, right? They never are quite with the times. So that's no exception.
I think they need, and tell me what you think about this, Nurse Erica. I really do feel like healthcare organizations need to hire like a social media person. Like there needs to be a position, and not just someone to post for them. I'm talking about someone to see what's going on in the market, because they are so far behind. And that is essentially why, things are changing so quickly nationally. And I don't even think they even see it. They're just like, what's happening? I'm going to do a thing on, I can tell you, I looked it up for all, the city of Austin, Texas, the city of Austin in Texas, and how they just got unionized. And it's happening everywhere because nurses are seeing it. They are not able to be at grassroots because they're not connecting to social. And so that's why they don't know what's going on. That's why they don't know that even if you break it down, oh, yes, we want more money. And of course, we want patient safety. But more than anything, we want to be respected. And they won't even do that. We want to be treated and appreciated more than anything. And they don't even get it.
Absolutely. What kills me is that so many of them, I think the majority of them, still suffer under the delusion that we are going to sacrifice everything, our entire well-being, our entire lives for the good of the patient. Because for generations, they have been able to use this empathy manipulation against nurses. And it worked. I mean, that's the reality. It worked for generations until pretty recently. Yes. And so you have these administrations and managers that think they can still do that think they can still go, well, what about call you up on your day off after you've already done 2 days of overtime that week? What about your colleagues? Don't you care about them? What about the patients? If you don't come in, that means we're going to have 5 patients without, all the manipulation and gaslighting that they think that still works. They don't realize that not only is the new generation of nurses not like that at all, but nurses as a whole have opened their eyes and recognized that for what it is, that they are playing on our empathy, and
Yes.
they've got to get out of this and realize it is not nurses' responsibility to staff any unit, any organization, anywhere. That's not our job. That is their
No.
job, and they are failing at it.
Yes. I love that. I love that so much. Exactly. No. And I think hopefully, because like I had someone send me I always talk about this. I had someone send me a DM, I'll never forget it. And she's like, she's not a nurse. And she's like, hey, I'm just wondering, do everyone know that nurses are like trying to stage in a coup, and who's gonna take care of our families? And I love that, because she was just like, I'm getting concerned here. Like, I'm not a nurse, but like, this concerns me. I'm like, yeah. And the thing is, I'm not trying to get all the I know we need nurses, but what we're trying to do is get these big organizations to see and listen to what we want, so that we can make it a good work environment for us, so that we can take care of our patients. Like, we're not asking for too much, we just want to enjoy what we do and not feel like we have to give our firstborn in order to take care of their patients. Because really they say those are your patients. Well, technically they're your patients. I work for you. They're your patients. So let's talk about, so you take this platform, you start, everybody's talking to you, because I've seen it. You've grown so much. Then you monetize it, yet you're still adding value. Do you ever get anyone who says like, this isn't a real job, or like you can't really make money off of this? Have you had anyone tell you that, or did you ever think it at any point when you first started?
Oh yeah, because it wasn't really a plan of mine. So yeah, I never really thought of it as a job. I thought of like a side hustle, that I can do. But I haven't had people so much criticize me of that. It's kind of the opposite. I think that I, more than other nurse advocates, are held to sometimes a different standard or higher standard because of what I do. And so I get criticized if they see that I'm making, I don't do a lot of brand deals. So when I do, I'm very strategic about it. But I get a lot of backlash when I do that. I'm basically being told that I'm selling out. And I don't think that people realize that I still work, right? A regular job, and I do this. And this is often much more time consuming than my regular job.
Yeah.
I sacrifice days off. I sacrifice sleep, just answering DMs and emails and creating content to get information out there to help the nursing profession. So, God forbid I get a brand deal or something and a little bit of money, people lose their mind.
It's like a nursing thing over again. Like, you're just supposed to be, again, the sacrificial lamb.
Yes.
To save the nurse.
Yeah. Position of servitude. No, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you just help us and give us all the free value and spend all of your time doing the research. Yeah. People don't want to talk. They see a 15-second bite. Sometimes that can take you hours of research to give them that 15-second bite, and they don't even realize it.
Well, sometimes for me, my content in particular can take me weeks, because it starts out with like one nurse at one place that confides something in me. Well, I'm very big on, not putting anything out there that I can't really verify, and so I will sometimes take weeks reaching out to people, waiting for people to answer, to where I can finally feel comfortable. Okay, this is true. This is accurate. I can now say this. My content is very, very time consuming.
I love that. I mean, I don't like that it's time consuming, but I love that you are definitely putting it out there and making sure that you vet the information so that it's not like hearsay. And I think that helps your credibility. But I will also say, and this is you and I talked kind of already about this in Austin, but the coach in me says, you gotta get your time. You gotta get your time. You gotta get your time where you're not spending so much time doing this without having some help. You can still bring the value, but you got to charge your worth.
That's something I struggle with, is getting help, like Kiana mentioned. I'm in a very weird position where nurses trust me. I've created a safe place where they can confide in me. They know that I'm always going to protect their identity. I go to great lengths to protect identity. And so for me to go out and get an assistant is really challenging, right? Because it has to be a nurse, because they have to be able to understand the stuff that I'm researching and weeding through, right? And then that means that the people out there need to be able to trust someone else with their private information that potentially could affect their career. So that's a challenge for me. It's just me doing this. I don't have anyone helping me.
Oh my gosh, Erica, I don't see how you do that. No,
I don't know
like
how we either.
you have to get some help. And it could be set up to where before it's actually disseminated to the world, it can go through you. But like, you got to get some people to help you with this, because the truth of the matter is, and this is another thing that I always try to tell nurses, is like, when it comes to business, the best thing you can do for your following and all the nurses who you are helping is take care of yourself. Because like, we need you to continue to be able to deliver that value, and people don't understand that work, especially when we are coming from a place of passion where we are just being led, to be able to serve and help. It takes a lot out of us. Like, people will just think, oh, all you're doing is just sitting on the computer or on your phone. Like, you're not physically. No, that takes a lot. Sometimes I've done so many meetings, I'm just like, okay, I have nothing left, because I'm pouring and pouring and giving and looking and that takes so much. So we want you to take care of yourself. And if people don't understand that, those are the people that's just not in a place where they understand that either they're in a scarcity mindset and they don't understand abundance. And people don't really truly appreciate free. I've learned that. I remember I tried to give everything away, but the minute you charge those people, they appreciate it, and so and everybody else can just go suck on an egg. It doesn't matter. Like, the bottom line is, what you're doing is needed and necessary, but we need you to take care of yourself. And that means bringing on a team. That means you have to price yourself accordingly. That means you have to take vacations. You have to spend time with your daughter. I know you have your daughter, someone who people who you love and that matter the most. That's so important for us. And I think it's often underrated for us, because we are always just giving, but like, we have to give back to ourselves, last year, I would say I worked the least, as far as like physical work, but I really have been able to spend time with my family, and I hadn't been able to do that probably my entire life. And it was like, okay, I see now, I'm able to think about it. And now that's what I push to nurses, like, listen, get your time. Like, and then the little chunk of time you're working, man, you're like smashing it out, because you have all this energy and you taking care of yourself and replenished your mind and all that. So I definitely recommend doing that, Erica. I know it's going to take some time and progress, but I definitely virtual assistants would be a good start. Just a starting point. They can do the research for you,
I need one. But I need one that's a nurse, so they can understand everything. My stuff is very specific, so that it's a little challenging.
Yeah, but you can just the let's say you say, find me 10 articles that this, that, and this. They can go online and Google. They can't interpret it, and nobody's gonna be you. So you're the only one that could be Erica and read it and take it for based on your experience and all that. But you can get them to pull some articles. What's going on in the nurse community? Pull me 10 articles that's been published in the last week. I want it to be related to this. They can do that if you give them the instruction, but you're going to have to read the articles. You're going to have to interpret the articles. So there are ways you can get them to tap in. Answer my DMs, like, look at them, don't respond. But if it's not related to this, like, you just have to give them the specific instructions. That's what I do with my VAs. Because as you see, my content is heavily focused around me. So like, they can't create a reel. They can't talk about leadership but they can look at my comments and tell me, hey, there's someone who said this, or whatever. That way I don't have to stay in my DMs all the time, and I can actually sit on the couch and maybe watch a movie with my husband. So they're able to do that.
With giving your assistants your logins, because I really struggle with that. That's
that's a control thing. Oh, definitely. But in the beginning, I remember I wanted to like everything, but it kind of if you equip your team to support you and you tell them exactly how you want things to be done, then you'll be able to slowly but surely kind of relinquish that. And I get it because it's your voice. That's the way you're getting to everyone. And so at some point, though, if it's stopping you from being able to spend time with the people you got to give up some of that control. I know. I believe me. I know. But yeah, no, I don't mind. And I honestly, when it comes to my sales team, because sometimes we have previous clients sending me DMs, they're in there. My outreach team is in there. So, hey, it's a business, Erica. Like seriously, and it just because you're focused on value and impacting, that doesn't change the business side of it. So yes, I let them have access to it. But anyway, they don't have access through. They don't have my password, Erica. They have LastPass. I use LastPass, so they don't have my password. So at any moment, I can X them off of my LastPass, and they won't be able to get in. Just so you know.
Is that like an app? What is that? I've
never
heard of that.
So LastPass is like a password management application. It's an app, and also you can have it on desktop. And essentially, what I do is I have all of my passwords to everything I have. And so when I bring on a new team member, I just give them access through there. They never see my password, so they have access to it. So they can click on the link and just get in. The password will automatically be put in and they can get in. So you know how the password is like ... It looks like that for them. So they have no idea what the password is. And so that is another way to kind of give you that added security, because it's like, what if it's my password for like my bank account, all these different things, but you can set it up that way. And when they off, just X them out. They don't have access. Yeah. So there are ways, but I can't help it. You know, I'm always trying. I see these ways, and I'm like, listen, let's get you your time back for sure. And you can even have more impact. Because honestly, Erica, have you thought about being like on, like you probably have been already, but like speaking events and going into nursing schools? Like, what if we changed it at the source? What if we did that?
So I've done some speaking events. I have another one coming up in October that I'm excited about. My dream job would be to do some sort of a course in nursing school, even if it was just like a one-day thing devoted to like, how do you protect yourself? Here's what you are likely to run into, so that they're not shell-shocked and they know what to do, And I'm actually working on a digital book at this point that hopefully will be available later this year. That's kind of along those lines, like a guide for new nurses and experienced nurses, things that I wish I had known when I went into the nursing profession.
I love that. Erica. So do you see yourself like ever leaving, like and doing this full time? Is that something on the horizon?
Ideally, I would love to be able to quit.
Okay.
I would love to be able to quit my job and do like a per diem thing, 1 or 2 days a month just to stay current. But I'm also like a single mom with 2 kids in college. And so it's just my income. And you know that income doing this with social media is variable, right? And so that's a hard thing for me, knowing that, okay, 1 month I made a chunk of change. That was nice. And then the next month I did not. So it's like, how do you get to that point? I'm on the path.
Yeah, you definitely are. And you'll know, because at some point it'll be that your business, your job will get in the way with your business, and you'll be like, I'm missing out on money because I'm going to work. And like that's will be the deciding factor. I love that. Okay, Erica. So I would like you to give 3 things that, and this is something we do for our listeners, 3 things that they can do. Because I consider social media and being an influencer definitely another job. We've already talked about the hours that's involved and the work that we have to do on the back end that people don't even see. And so it takes a different mindset to, I know some of my blocks when I first started. One was that, like, what if people don't like me? Another one was like, what if I'm too old for this? Like, these are for the young kids, like, and I don't know how to work this techie stuff, all of that. So, but I still did it. And I just feel like it takes a unique type of person to quiet the noise and still show up. And so I would like for you to give for our listeners 3 homework assignments and steps that they can do right now that will help them show up and be the best versions of themselves. Or if they're struggling with like stepping out and actually trying to actively pursue entrepreneurship or starting a side business or whatever. So what would be those 3 things that you would have them do?
Yeah, I struggled with the same thing. I'm too old for this. I'm not great with technology. How am I ever going to do this? So believe me, if I can do this, anybody can do this. My first TikTok, my daughter had to do it for me. Like I had no idea, you know? But yeah, so I would say first look at people that you want to maybe emulate, and study them a little bit. Don't copy them, but get some ideas and see what they do that resonates with you, and then you have to be authentic. You have to be yourself because you might have a couple videos that take off, but ultimately, eventually, they're going to see through it if you are not being authentic, And so not the vast, but a lot of my videos are like me in the morning. I haven't brushed my teeth. I'm drinking coffee. My hair's up in a messy bun. And like, it's just me talking about whatever the topic of the day is, but it's always authentically me. And I think people appreciate that, Gone are the days of everything being like picture perfect on Instagram. And, it's just not realistic.
Thank God for that too.
Right. Yeah. Right. You've got to be authentic. And I think the third thing is you've got to be brave, because we will always talk ourselves out of doing something. There's always going to be reasons why we shouldn't. And you've got to be brave, and I really attribute bravery to being one of my keys to success. Is I have the courage to say things that the vast majority of nurses and nurse leaders just don't, but that's me. I've always been that way. I've always been the one in the boardroom on the unit to stand up and say what everyone else is saying behind closed doors in the break room,
Yeah, I love that. We need more people like you, seriously, because I honestly, I think about it. I was too afraid. I remember I knew I didn't want to do it. And I was like, I'm never sipping the Kool-Aid. So I retreated. But I think it takes way more courage to be able to stay and say, I'm going to change it from within versus like leaving and then sharing my truth or, so I definitely commend you for that. Because I know that that's not an easy, but it's so necessary if we want to see change. So it's bigger than you. So I can definitely appreciate that. Crystal, did you have any follow-up? Sorry.
I was going to say, I commend you for being brave, as you said, because I have a nurse manager that I'm close with. And I'm like, you should do these resumes. And, you're a hiring manager. And she's like, do you think I can? I'm like, I know you can. So just having the bravery to step out there and use your talents for something good. And you're also helping other nurses. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Thank you. Yeah, yes. Thank you for being willing to honestly, that's what I admire so much though, because I know that takes an amount of courage. So, hey, and obviously that's what the people need because your followers are like over 200,000, right? Or 300?
No, I'm almost at 500,000 on TikTok.
Oh my gosh. See, really? That is crazy. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So Erica, how can the people find you? Tell us about what social platforms you're on. We know TikTok, but other than TikTok, and tell us, what your handles are. Do you have YouTube also?
I do have a YouTube. I am desperately trying to get to that all important 1,000 subscribers. I'm only about 100 or so away. So please subscribe to me on YouTube. That's something I want to work on more in the future. I'm on Instagram, the Nurse Erica. I'm on Facebook, Nurse Erica. And I have my website, nurseerica.com.
And so what offerings do we have? What goodies do we have for them? Like, I know you said you do one-to-one. What do you do?
It's everything. I have nurses that have been reported to the Board of Nursing and they just want to talk through it, maybe know what to expect, what they should do. I have nurses that, they're going to go into an important meeting with management and they want to know how to prepare. So we talk about talking points and what they can expect. And then we have, I'm being bullied at work. I have these nurses that I feel are attacking me and focusing on me, and how do I fight that? And then, there's how do I get involved with legislation? Like, it's everything under the sun.
Wow. Okay, that's good. So all of that will be on your website where
Yeah,
they can know what
nurseamerica.com
all you offer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other type of like memberships? Do you have any? See, I need to get you over with me, Erica. I'm sorry.
You do.
I need you to be
really
making
do.
way more. You have so much to offer. I can't take
For
it.
me.
You have so much to offer. Oh my gosh. Okay. So yes. All right. That's awesome. So your website and all your social media is how they can get to you.
I'm hosting a trip coming up with Redonda Vaught in September.
Oh.
There's still, I think, 7 spots left for that.
Awesome.
So that's going to be
Where would they find that?
All the links are on my pages. All of my social media pages have the link. That's going to be once in a lifetime. Redonda Vaught and we're going to be talking about all things, nursing and healing and moving on and all of that. So if anyone's interested, there's 7 spots left. I just did my first trip that I hosted to Italy last month, and that was incredible.
Oh my gosh.
Of nurses, and someone brought their husband. God bless him. He put up with us all week.
Right.
Getting to know everyone, made some really good friends. It's just an awesome experience.
I loved it. Well, they definitely should get into that. And she got her license back, right? Redonda Vaught, I saw her.
She's trying. She's petitioning for the right to have a new hearing with the Board of Nursing.
Oh, I love that for her. Good. Okay. That's awesome. You guys, listen, definitely this is something if you're able to. And when is it? What's the date? Just so we can have it on our podcast. Do you have a date for it?
September 19th this year.
Okay. September 19th. And do you have a destination already?
Yeah, it's Costa Rica.
Ooh, okay. Awesome. You guys definitely should get in on this. Erica, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. This has been great. We definitely are going to have to do another part to this. I was telling Crystal that you're in Vegas, so we'll actually be there for the nurses in business. Nurse business. What is it, Crystal?
When is that?
Are you going to be there?
Their conference.
Nurses in Business.
August 3rd through the 5th.
National Nurses in Business. Yeah, we'll be there in August.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not even know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, so we'll be there. But I was telling her, like, you're not too far from us. So we're going to have to invite each other to our stuff because we're not that far when we have nursing events. So absolutely. All right, Erica, thank you so much for joining us. You guys know, as always, tell a friend, don't gatekeep, share the podcast. We bring some amazing nurses who are doing amazing things, and they are really breaking through the status quo. And we appreciate that from you, Erica, as well. All right, you guys, until next time, take care. Bye.
Bye.